Good morning, it's Joshua Taylor coming to you in this 249th video on the Exodus 2 series. It's August the 5th, around lunchtime. I've been out there pulling weeds, so I still got my work apparel on. And anyway, over the weekend I went to see Johnny. He was doing his reset in Hope. And there, every time we come together, without a miss, these past 3 years, God always shows up. And what I have to announce today, it's it's a major announcement. And if I can take you back to the visions, 7 open visions that the Lord gave me back in February of 1988. In one of the visions, I was standing outside of Hope on the number 7 highway, not very far from where Johnny and I were doing our reset, just within about a mile. And standing on the south side of the Agassiz Highway, the number 7 highway is the Trans-Canada and the number 7. And I was standing there, and I had just been sent back to Canada. In the visions, I was visiting David Terrell, God's prophet to the world, and I was sent back by the word of the Lord to come back to Canada. So in these visions, I was standing there on the highway. I was dressed in one of his suits, black suits. I had one of his staffs in my right hand, and in my left hand, I was holding a large white cardboard tube. I used to use these tubes for storing the hand-drawn plans, going back to the 80s, late 80s and early 90s, before I started doing these plans in computers. And anyway, that same day, might have been over a course about 24 hours, the Lord gave me the completed plans for the Exodus that will take place on the West Coast. And we know that the signs are coming into fruition. It's my understanding that Nibiru, we're going to see Nibiru with our eyes sometime this year. And so it's a possibility that the destruction of Vancouver, Seattle, and the rest of the cities along the Canadian and U.S. borders, coast, could be going into the ocean in 2021. Not saying that it is, but the signs seem to be pointing that direction. And this year I've been working on in my spare time on these shed shelter designs. I know that they're going to work. They're actually going to be a major player in these to get this exodus underway. In the visions, I was showing a 50-mile convoy stretching from the east side of Surrey, Vancouver, all the way to Chilliwack, a minimal of 50 miles. And I was taken up in the spirit. I saw this convoy in a panoramic view. I could see each vehicle and all the vehicles at the same time. And the Lord took me into see the center of this convoy, and I knew that it was a 5-mile length stretch of highway, sandwiched in between these 10,000 vehicles of transport trucks. And the transport trucks, they were all tarped, but I knew by the Spirit of the Lord that they had some kind of portable housing initiative for all these people coming out. So if there's 10,000 vehicles, you have anywhere between 40 to 50,000 people. These are the ones that will make it out in the last hour, heading up toward the Hazelton area in the northern part of British Columbia, and they will be fully outfitted and prepared well in advance when the sign of the beast is given. And so I was standing there on the highway holding these plans that, that were completed. And now the Lord ran me through, actually put it on audio when he started to give it to me, of the layout. So when we make these, so all these portable housing that's going to go up, you're going to have to make them, right? It's not like you just can build them in a garage. You'll need thousands of garages in order to turn these camps out. So the only way to do it, you're going to have to establish a prototype camp. And during this time when I was up with Johnny, the Lord took part of his spirit, his will, and he put it in my heart. He didn't speak audibly, but I knew what he was saying. It's time to build my camp. It's time to build my camp. And then he gave me, he started laying out how to go together. And this would be a work camp. I will be doing a visual on this, and so this is the first release of this information. The camp itself will be composed of 24 acres set into a honeycomb. And so you just take 24 acres times 43,560, divide by 3 and take the square root, and that gives you the center point from the center out to the, going out to all 6 corners. And so in this 24 acre plot, there's going to be 6 plots, and 4 plots will be designated for living. This is where the shed shelters are going to come in, and 2 plots will be designated as a work area, and each work area is composed of 6 spokes or fabrication buildings that radiate out. And so each work area spoke going out would produce 1 shed shelter per day. So you got 24 people working in 1 fabrication unit to turn out 1 shed shelter a day, 24 people. And so you got 6 houses going out, and you got 2 of these work centers, so you're able to produce 12 units per day. And so that would take 24 times 6 would be 144 for people working in 1 work area, another 144 people working in another work area, to turn out 12 shed shelters per day. And this is the completed package. In order to have the manpower for this, because you got 288 people working in the center, so roughly 300, you need 4 areas, 2 areas would have enough manpower to run 1 camp. And so in your layout of your camps, of your living quarters, basically you'd have a shed shelter, and you have another shed shelter that's designed as a restaurant area, a meeting place. So you have your shed shelters on the end and 1 in the center. You don't have to keep that. You could actually have a shed shelter, a space, and a shed shelter, and you could have your restaurant in the center. This allows you, if you have to double capacity, you can do it. And 24 acres would give you the room to do this. So in each camp, and these camps would be roughly 2.5 acres, you would have, in each shed shelter, you would have 12 to 16 people. And this is a emergency protocol, so you're not you know, you're looking at the practical end of things, right? You need the labor on the ground in order to fast track this work. So each living area, you would have a staff of 24 people. That's what you need. So you got 24. So in your living area, you got 6 living areas, right? And each living area would have a volunteer staff of 24 people, plus others that would need it to maintain the camp. So you have, this is where your 144 labor comes from, with 2 camps coming together, and also another 144 volunteer labor that makes up the other 2 living areas. And so this is what I want to bring to you today. I'll be drawing this out and doing a visual on this. And I'm not saying that the destruction of the West Coast is next April, end of March, April, but it could well be. I mean, something is going to have to happen to bring forth a 24-acre plot and the finances to develop that 24 acres, right? And then you got the infrastructure that you have to develop. So you're making a prototype camp as if you were in your final location, right? So this is something that you would make, you develop, you'd work out the bugs. And the biggest thing is going to be the people learning to work together. And there would be a spiritual protocol. The camp would be a spiritual camp too, where people will come together several times a day to worship the Lord, to pray, to intercede. There'll be a need for intercessors there. So anyway, you got your 6 camps set up on this 24-acre plot, and the acreage in the center would be your spiritual center. And this is where everybody can come together, maybe for a couple of main meals a week, at least for corporate worship. So you'd have roughly between 300 to 500 people on this 24-acre camp. It'd be congested, and it might be double shift. And so, as far as your production, you're able to produce 4 shed shelters and a restaurant kitchen area that joins them up. So you could actually have a shed shelter, and restaurant. You can make 2 of those, or you can put them together in a quad formation. You got your restaurant, and you got your 2 dorms, and your 2 dorms. You could do it that way. And but the object is be able to develop 1 living area for 144 people in 3 days. And so in 3 days, it'd be 3 times 18. You'd be able to turn out 18 buildings. And each spoke would be 3 buildings times 6 is 18. And with a second shift, you might be able to turn out 2 living areas for 244 people. And that means it would take about 3 weeks to develop it would take about 6 weeks to actually develop a camp, maybe 2 months. I have to work out the numbers on this. Well, we are getting close. We're in a time we know that we're going to go into lockdown, and all this may not take place until the illumination comes, until the sons of God come on the scene. Because right now, you know, when that happens, the Father's going to designate who are His, and then they're going to be given the power and the authority to do the work that He's called them to do. So we're going to have to be empowered to do it. I thought that maybe this would happen prior to the lockdown and the manifestation of the sons of God. It looks like the preparation for the end times to get ready for the judgment coming on the west coast, along the east coast, in the Mediterranean. When that asteroid hits Puerto Rico, there's going to be 26 million people dead on the east coast of the United States, plus the west coast of the United States. And so these shelters, these work camps need to be done in fast time. And so because you're just in the exodus from the west coast of between 40 to 50,000 people, that's between 4 to 5,000 living units that you're going to have to make. And even with one camp in full production, that you're producing six times 5, 30 units per week. That's 60, 120 units per month. You're going to need a number of these 24-acre camps. And cause the time will come, if you stay in the cities, you're going to become trapped in this destruction, and you're going to become food for the hungry, right? The cities are not going to be pleasant. So myself, I'm preparing for a 90-day lockdown here. I've been extremely busy, but I'd like to get this out. I need your response. I like your response, and I do have a PayPal now. If you want to help to bless my hands financially, and my Gmail account is remnantprepper@gmail.com. The word remnant, like remnant, plus prepper, remnantprepper@gmail. So I do have my PayPal up and going for those who want to bless the work of my hands. So this project, the Lord's given me his job description on what to do, and that's to put together the plans for this 24-acre plot using the shed shelter system, and it will be a plan designated to multiplying the work. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from my little place here in Boston Bar, British Columbia, Canada.